Welcome to the business side of life, and we start by telling you that President Muhammadu Buhari a while back addressed the ongoing 76th United Nations General Assembly. President Buhari spoke to global issues in line with the theme of the 76th UNGA, which is building resilience through hope to recover from COVID-19, rebuild sustainably, respond to the needs of the planet, respect the rights of people, and revitalize the United Nations. Details will come in our subsequent bulletin. Realizing the United Nations SDG 17 goals requires significant investment in youth development. Participants at the 76th United Nations General Assembly, while giving account of the progress made by their government, are optimistic it is the best shot at curbing youth restiveness globally.
The Ministry of Youth continues to partner with organizations, including UN organizations, to promote activities focusing on peace building, active civic participation through our youth debates and national youth parliaments.
Sport is a tool to address many challenges that we know. Apart from that, also it again hinges on mental health issues. So the I'm With You campaign is really a campaign that we foresee will make a difference in our people's lives.
Still on the United Nations, President Muhammadu Buhari is among 155 world leaders who are presenting strategies and national pathways that highlights the challenges and opportunities for better production, consumption, and disposal of food. The strategies are part of the United Nations Food Systems Summit, a major agenda for the 76th General Assembly underway in New York.
Following the recommendations from the dialogues and our plan to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty within a decade, Nigeria is committed to A. Supporting private sector investments in food storage and transportation.
Now Yusho Aliu is an economist and will be speaking to issues raised at the ongoing United Nations General Assembly in New York. Yusho, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much and good afternoon.
It's been a while, you know.
It has been a while, but thank God we are meeting with the United Nations Assembly.
Yes. This is the right time.
It's the right time.
Well, we're talking about United Nations General Assembly is talking about rebuilding sustainability, COVID-19 environment. Is there any part of our lives that has not been discussed at the General Assembly? And looking at the focus of all these discussions, where are we heading to? What results are we expecting at the end of the day?
You know, the United Nations Assembly speaks on different issues, but thank God our president is representing Nigeria very well. But what is more important is for him to portray the actual situation in Nigeria, that is extreme poverty, insecurity, as well as inflation that is disturbing the economy, which is eroding the income of the people, and at the same time, the need for the Western powers to develop this democracy by assisting the Nigerian politicians to have a way to end this insecurity, which is a bedrock for social and the sustainability of our development plans.
Well, aside curbing insecurity and getting measures in place to ensure that the whole world is safe, not just Nigeria, not just Africa, there is a burning issue. Since the coming of COVID-19, governments, not just Nigeria, have tried to create this balance between health and wealth to get to reopen the economies so wide enough so that recovery will be faster. But Nigeria and other African countries are met with this challenge now, where the United Kingdom is not recognizing vaccination certificates from Africa. What do you think the Nigerian delegation should be discussing health-wise at the United Nations?
You know, coronavirus has brought a different scenario as far as global health is concerned. What is more important is on the economy. Every state is dealt with differently by coronavirus. Nigeria is one. Despite the fact that even the atmosphere of understanding this pandemic is so different from the established Western democracies and a democracy of our type, where you have a large number of people with their health illiteracy even doesn't even agree that there is corona, or in some cases believe that this pandemic only affects certain level of people. That sent a bad signal to international community that these people that don't believe in this, then definitely we have to take a different way to look at how we are going to resolve this matter. In an attempt to do that, that's why they have to initiate different models in an attempt to make sure that if somebody that is coming from Nigeria is going into their economy, in order not to have a devastating effect of that consequences, they have to take precaution, because the consequences is disastrous to an economy. We have seen that in Italy, we have seen that in the UK, we have seen that in many other developed nations. But in African scenario, we have had a head of state that even doesn't believe, and we have had a counter that we have the vaccine, which if it is tested internationally, you cannot have the same result as they are getting. And at the same time, the awareness of the African society as far as pandemic is concerned, the people are faced with different types of economic unfriendliness, including poverty. So they are more concerned about malaria, they are more concerned about other tropical diseases than coronavirus, which they term to be a pandemic that is only affecting the Western world. So the West is right, but Nigeria as it is, we have to make sure that we use our BVN in getting this card cleared. We have to use NIM, so that once you are certified vaccinated, it can be accepted internationally, so you will not face embarrassment. But it has to do with due diligence in doing that.
That's to say we need to deploy technology to get to know who is actually vaccinated or not. Just like you said earlier on, President Muhammadu Buhari is actually representing us well at the United Nations. He just spoke not about 5 minutes ago. Can we just listen to his presentation at the United Nations so that we get to talk to some of these issues?
Okay. He has always supported the view that it should involve all states. Disarmament conventions deserve the support of all states, small, large, nuclear, or non-nuclear. Nuclear weapons remain the ultimate agents of mass destruction, and their total elimination should be the final objective of all disarmament processes within the broad spectrum of goals being pursued by the United Nations. In this regard, Nigeria would participate actively in forthcoming review conference of Nuclear Prohibition Treaty, and also the first meeting of states parties to the landmark treaty on the provision of nuclear weapons, scheduled to take place within the first quarter of 2022. Nigeria regards these upcoming events as important steps towards realization of a world free of nuclear weapons. We are therefore supportive of any diplomatic efforts in this direction. We hope that the upcoming Nuclear Prohibition Treaty Review Conference would lead to a successful outcome that would facilitate the the nuclearization of the world. We will do our part to ensure such an outcome. Mr. President, terrorism continues to dominate security discourse worldwide. In Nigeria, Boko Haram, terrorist group, though fragmented by internal strife and weakened by our defense forces, is still active and preying on soft targets. Nigeria will continue to work closely with United Nations counter-terrorism bodies and entities with a view to bringing this scourge to an end. Nigeria has spared no effort in addressing the challenges of terrorism posed by the activities of Boko Haram in northeast Nigeria, the Lake Chad region, as well as banditry in the northwest and north central.
Okay, so you had Mr. President there representing also very well. Issues he centered on was kind of declaring Nigeria's support for the total elimination of weapons of mass destruction, and he also declared our support to participate in the nuclear prohibition treaty, which hopefully will be taking place in the first quarter of 2022. He also talked about insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea and the efforts Nigeria is making. Just recently, the efforts were clearly demonstrated in the security architecture that was deployed in the Blue Marine area to ensure that economy, movement of goods and services within the Gulf to Nigeria, to and fro, it's safer. Can you speak to some of this?
Yes, what I have deducted is that first I deduct the fashion at which he has presented, but with certain limitations. One is the fact that when Mr. President is speaking on nuclear, he gave emphasis on weapons of mass destruction. But what is affecting our economy today is small arms. Those small arms that are coming into the hand of the bandit need to be carefully mentioned so that the traces can be made, because they are not produced in Nigeria. That is one. Two, Nigeria was a member, I recall vividly, of Non-Proliferation Treaty, which was signed
of small arms,
of all weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
But what I also wanted Mr. President to market is the fact that once nuclear energy is being mentioned, we should remember that we have nuclear research centers scattered around Nigeria. And those nuclear research centers are to be helping our technological development. And there is need for those marketing Nigeria to give emphasis on nuclear energy, which Nigeria requires to boost our industrialization as well as our manufacturing activities within the same continent. That is two. Three, he mentioned the activities of Boko Haram being limited to northeastern part of Nigeria, which has not been the case. Mr. President has to give more emphasis that a lot of elements of Boko Haram are taking cover in the northwest. And this northwest today, the banditry are also colliding with this. So there is need to check the activities of Boko Haram internationally through international security arrangement. And at the same time, also looking at the fact that Nigeria today is suffering a lot of deficiency as regards to energy. So a nuclear is an option. It is an option because we are in a tropical world with so much supply of sunlight, which is a bedrock to solar technology. So there is need also to use that same opportunity to call investors to come to our universities and research centers to take good researches and expand them and make them to be part of our small and medium enterprises drive in order to boost our GDP, in order to help the economy, and in order also to help other economies around the world because of the globalization, and at the same time because of the fact that in West Africa today, Nigeria plays a greater role in maintaining security as well as providing economic opportunities.
Well, it is believed that some of these meetings holding at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly will also tackle some of these issues. Just a few days ago, and it's still been discussed at larger forums, the People's Bank of China is thinking of opening a branch in Nigeria. What does that say of our economy? Side by side, the currency swap that we've been looking forward to. What would that do to China, exchange of goods and services?
China
as
is
well
so,
as balancing the
China, they are so determined and so very unique in an attempt to take over the world economy. The Chinese Naira swap is a good attempt to eliminate dollar intervention, dominance. And that will help Nigerians also to keep their purchasing power, because what Naira can do through dollar to the yuan, Naira can now do it directly. This is the attempt. And another aspect at which the Chinese are targeting Nigeria is the fact that if they have Nigeria, they are controlling West Africa. So now it is our hope that through ECOWAS, through our ambassadors, we can work diligently to make sure that all our trade disputes is being resolved, and also the eco-currency, because if there is eco-currency and Naira is being exchanged with one, then it means that there is multiplicity of benefit that is coming to our Nigerian businessmen.
We're yet to finalize on the eco-currency.
Yes, there was a lot of distortion, which I have said it times with that
from
number.
the francophone and the anglophone
You see, first of all, you study the environment you are. No matter what somebody would tell you, if your neighbor is your neighbor, you must have a good neighbor for you to succeed. And that is why I am of the opinion that we must open all our borders, but we must put the right securities in our border in an attempt to strengthen the businesses that is taking through West Africa, because Nigerian businessmen, 40% of what is taking place in West Africa is done by Nigerian businessmen. So we cannot hold to see that another eco-franc is taking over the West African eco-currency. And at the same time, now we have an advantage. The Chinese coming with the Chinese yuan Naira swap. There is need for the central bank to quickly establish links with businessmen, with those people that are good in commerce, to have a stakeholder meeting to understand the problem they are facing within West Africa. Remember, there is also the free trade agreement signed by the AU members in an attempt to have also a free trade within other nations. So still is good for us, it's a good window, and if only we can make good use of it.
Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Uche.
Thank you very much.
On that note, making good use of it.
Yes.
I'm sure we're on the path. It's a process. It's a journey.
It's a process.
We'll get there. Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular
Thank you very much, too.
Well, moving on, Small Firms Diaries, a global research initiative aimed at providing insight into the financial lives of small is being seen in Nigeria. The Statistician General of the Federation, Dr. Simon Harry, who announced the launch in Abuja, said it is in collaboration with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other partners. He said the research will also seek insight into the unique challenges faced by small businesses in Nigeria, with a view to creating sustainable solutions for their advancement and growth.
It is also expected that the outcome of the research will inform product design and marketing of digital financial services to better meet the needs of small business owners, employers, and their customers. The study will further advance the understanding of the distinct experiences and, of course, challenges of women running small firms, and offer new recommendations to policymakers and others on how to eliminate the danger profit gap.
Let's see what the commodities market is like. Well, it's been a week of marginal movements, a little to the green and a little to the red. But at the close of trade this Friday, stocks remained not bound, with the all-share index adding 0.23% to end at 38,962.28 points. Equity capitalization stood at 20.299 trillion naira. 633 million shares exchanged hands in 3,228 deals, valued at 6.448 billion naira. FBN Holdings, EcoBank, and Zenith Bank were the most traded stocks. And now to global market update next with Bosede Ebo. Bosede?
Hello, Benny. How are you? How are you today?
It's your show.
Thank you very much. So, Asia Pacific led Friday's global market session with a mixed close as investors reacted to central bank policy decision and monitored developments surrounding China Evergrande Group. The Nikkei in Japan jumped 2.06% to close 30,248.81, while Shanghai Composite dipped 0.8% at 3,613.07, and the Hang Seng Index also depreciated 1.3% at 24,192.16. European stocks traded lower on Friday, early afternoon trade, which shows major bourses in negative territory. Germany's DAX was 0.68% low, FTSE 100 0.23% at 7,062.22, and Francis CAC 40 also dipped 0.95% at 6,638.21%. U.S. stock futures were lower on Friday to wrap up a volatile week on Wall Street. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average was 79 points, while S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures also in red. But this could be temporary, with the figures coming in. The bull could dominate. While in Africa, the negative trend also reflected on the African markets, which kept most stocks muted Friday, like the South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Nairobi's All Share, and Namibia's overall index. While Tunisia's Tunidex dipped 0.2%, Namibia's overall index also depreciated 0.02% at 1,417. Well, that's the global market review. Over to you, Benny.
Thank you so very much, Bosede, for that update. That wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us. Do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also, be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. Be safe out there.